And I think why she has Islam as second, why she sees him as a threat, because they may cut off bacon for her. They may have her hit the
Wow.
treadmill. All right, so
That's
I'll
crazy.
bro, this video of PBD asking these ex-CIA agents, just pay attention to how uncomfortable. Just pay attention to the hidden agenda that PBD tries to have. And I'm going to do my due diligence. I don't know about you, but I'm going to do my due diligence to be as unbiased as possible. I'm going to try to be as fair as possible and analyze this.
My question is, what is your portfolio of paranoia? Okay? And which countries are you most paranoid to? Let me explain what I mean by this, and then I want you to write down your portfolio of paranoia. So think about if you have $1 million to invest, you'll say, I'll put $250,000 in gold, $250,000 in Bitcoin, $100,000 in small cap funds, $400,000 in, large cap, whatever. The same way you diversify. Both of you were in the CIA. I'm going to give you 4 countries.
Holy crap, bro. Just get to the question.
I'm going to give you 4 countries to be paranoid about. Which of them would you give the biggest percentage all the way to the smallest? So think about it. You have a round, literally, it's going to look like a pie chart. And
Literally.
and you put the names in there, okay? So you have these 4 categories. You have Islam.
Okay.
So within,
Wait, didn't he say 4 countries?
I think he's going to group Islam into like multiple different countries.
Islam, we have IRGC, Qatar, just include all of them. We have Israel, because Israel is also coming up a lot of different places. Then we have China and we have Russia. Where does your paranoia lie the most for the next 10 years with these 4 different countries as well as Islam?
Okay.
I'll give you a minute to draw it up.
As well as Islam.
I think deep down inside he's dying for them to say Islam is the biggest
I
threat.
don't know, just his eyes give me like that vibe. Right?
Just pay attention to the mannerisms, pay attention to the questions, pay attention to how he reacts to their answers.
Is it jumping up on here for us?
You see
I
it?
see. I got
There
it.
you go.
Okay, so we just rank him in order.
Just rank him in order and give like 45% would be Islam,
Bro, he's already giving suggestions. I don't know, like 45% Islam. I think that's a good
Maybe
idea.
you could do like 90% Islam.
Yeah,
and then
just do like
2% the rest of them.
96% Islam, and then just maybe you would do like 2% Russia. Who knows?
25 would be this.
Why is he looking?
All right.
China, Islam,
China, Islam, Israel, and Russia.
Russia.
Where should we be most paranoid about? Maybe you're going to be like 25, 25, 25, kind of a boring portfolio. Maybe you're going to go 90 and 1 and fully paranoid.
Bro, I swear, if they asked him that question, I already know what the portfolio
He's gonna
is
be
going
like
to look
95% Islam.
And then he's going to put Russia, China, and Israel last. I guarantee it.
Or maybe it's a, 40, 40, 10, 10. I don't want to mess with you. You pick and choose. Do you have yours?
Yeah.
All right, let me see what you have on your side. Okay. Really? Interesting. Let me see yours. Okay, would you...
Damn, he was disappointed, bro. Whatever the guy in the black just wrote, he was disappointed. Over there, he's saying, really? Excited.
Definitely like that answer. I can just tell.
I guarantee he liked that answer.
Do you mind showing to the audience so they know, and then I give your answer? You can start off first.
Yeah, so China takes the massive chunk of pie for me. And now we're talking about paranoia, not money.
Purely paranoia. We'll
So
get to
purely
money as well.
paranoia.
Purely paranoia.
China takes it. China is the #1 strategic threat to the United States.
What did you put on China?
50%.
Okay.
It's the #1 strategic threat to the West. It is the thing that will end democracy everywhere in the world.
I think that's very valid what he's saying. Obviously, I don't have a degree in geopolitics, but just based off of the logic, China produces so much. We buy so much from China. Their population is huge. If China and the US went at it together in all regards, in trade, in production, in economies, in military, it would be a bloodbath. It would be destructive. It could be the end of the world. That's how big of a threat China and America is to each other.
Islam, I gave 5%. I'm not worried about Islam.
Look at his face.
Look at that
He's
reaction,
so
bro.
disappointed, bro.
Look at that reaction. He's like, that's the same exact reaction of somebody saying, okay, I disagree. I can't believe you put it at last place. I already told you maybe 45%. All right.
There are other countries that need to worry about Islam, but we're not one of them. Russia, I gave 20%, mainly because of the threat that it kind of constantly sends to Europe and how dependent Europe is on us. And then Israel, I gave 25%. So I am actually saying we should be more paranoid of Israel than Russia.
The interesting thing, China and Russia are massive, huge countries.
They are.
Israel is maybe like 1/25th, even smaller than that, like tiny. And the fact that it's 25% of a threat, it's literally competing. How much you put Russia under Israel, bro?
And Russia's like
Massive.
Israel's like
And there's more paranoia. He's saying he's an ex-CIA, okay? He knows threats more than we do. He sits in the meetings. He distinguishes what's a threat. He does investigations. He sees information that we don't see. That's the bottom line. Anybody commenting in the comments, there's one handicap that me and you are both going to have. He has been there. He has seen the risk. You haven't, and I haven't. So he's putting Israel at 25% risk and Russia 20%. I'm so interested in seeing what his breakdown is.
And Islam, 5 times Islam.
5 times
I
Islam.
actually love that because hers is different. Go for it.
Do you love it, PBD? Do you love it? I don't think you do love it.
Yep, same reason for China. Obviously, they want a world
Mutual agreement with China from both of them. Okay, that's consistent.
that we are one of their subjects in, not really equal partners. So that's 40%. Islam 30%, because I think we've seen the greatest kind of successes of terrorists in the last few years after the fall of Afghanistan, the fall of Syria, potentially soon the fall of Mogadishu, and then obviously likely we'll have the fall of Malta.
Okay, so obviously there's a disagreement between the two. The guy with the black shirt is saying Islam is the least threatening out of the 4. She is saying that Islam is the second most threatening out of the 4. So be objective, okay? Be extremely objective. Let's hear both of their arguments, and let's actually be honest about who's making the better argument.
So they're starting to feel, hey, the caliphate's coming back. You know, they're aligned with Israel, with Qatar and Turkey on that plan. So very, very dangerous. Besides Bin Laden's 4 sons planning an attack here.
Bro,
Bin Laden's 4 sons.
their dad got sniped in the head and they're plotting the revenge. He's making it sound like a movie,
better
bro.
avenge him, bro.
I swear, I don't even think some of them are Muslim, like the sons, his sons. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't think Bin Laden's sons are in a room right now trying to plot his revenge. I really doubt it. That's already kind of a weak start with what she's saying. I don't know if there's proof to what she's saying. It just sounds propaganda-esque.
Russia 30%, because Russia's always playing the game, and Russia will play with any enemy we have, and they don't care. They play dirty, and we can never underestimate them. Israel, I don't lose any sleep over Israel.
Okay, 0%. 0% means a 0% threat. She didn't even give him 5%. She's saying they're a 0% threat. There's absolutely no threat from
like,
Israel.
you don't even have to think about them at all.
Okay, the guy in the black shirt at least has balanced opinions. He didn't give any country 0%. He didn't give any country 100%. His pie chart is sliced up. Her pie chart, her fat ass, has 40% big pizza slice to China, 30% big pizza slice to Israel, Islam, and then 30% big pizza for Russia. There's no room for Israel. And I think why she has Islam a second, why she sees them as a threat, because they may cut off bacon for her. They may have her hit the treadmill. All right, so I'll be respectful. Let me get back. I couldn't hold it.
Tiniest country in the world, and if they ever became a problem, we could bomb them to oblivion in 5 minutes. So I don't know why.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
Why anyone loses sleep over them.
I don't know if I don't think she should have said that, bro. I don't think you should be saying that. So, okay, I'm gonna stop interrupting a little bit. I'm gonna let it play, but this is so interesting. Israel she's saying is the least likely to be a threat, right? She's saying they can bomb Israel to oblivion if they ever needed to. Okay. Do you know that Israel has a policy? If their existence is under threat, nukes will be sent around the world to multiple different targets, including the US, if they're about to go down. So if you go and bomb Israel, you're likely going to be nuked. Now, if you go bomb Islam, what happens? Do you really think the Islamic countries are capable of reaching the US through firearms like that? Do you really think they're a military threat?
But those are my numbers.
I actually love that. So let's do this. Since China and Russia, you guys both agree on 50 and 40, let's cross that one out.
Within
because
10%. too.
Within 10%. And since Russia, you're within the same, which is 20 to 30, within 10%, we'll cross that one out. Let's start off with Islam first, and then we'll go to Israel. Why did you put Islam the lowest out of all of them at 5%, and then you at 30? Well, you go first.
I don't see Islam as a threat to the United States. And that's what I was seeing it as. Paranoid to me. Right? What am I paranoid? It's not Islam. Islam is it's difficult for them to reach us with any significance. When they reach us, it's difficult for them to bypass our security systems, whether they're cybersecurity systems, police systems, border security systems, etc. They pose a real threat to our allies, who are much less sophisticated in their defense.
But that's what it comes down to. Islam poses, if it does, poses a threat in the Middle East. It doesn't pose a threat to America. Islam doesn't have America by the neck. Like, there's no real threat by Islam, and there's so much propaganda saying that there is, saying that Sharia law is going to take over and all this stuff. My hunch is the blonde lady is going to kind of say those points I just said. If you really think Islam is a threat, let's be respectful. In the comments, just tell me why it's a threat. Articulate to me properly why Islam is a threat to the West. Why is it a threat to America in specific?
And national security sector, but not to us. Meanwhile, Israel actually has the ability to drag us into all sorts of shit that actually does impact us. We are all paying more money for oil right now because of Israel.
Damn, that's crazy. This is ex-CIA saying this. This is a qualified individual saying this. He's qualified to have an opinion like this. And if you look at it, we're getting impacted directly by Israel. They're pulling Trump's ear left and right. Come here, go there, do this, do that. I mean, even Trump himself looks uncomfortable. Who's calling the shots? Honestly, why are we at war with Iran? Why? There's so many struggles here. There's so many things that can be improved here. If you're truly America first, tell me, do you want this war with Iran?
We are all suffering under an international outcry against American leadership because of Israel. The whole world questions whether or not the president of the United States is even making his own decisions, or whether he's a puppet of Israel. So Israel has an incredible ability to frustrate and put us in quagmire that Islam just doesn't have.
Okay, so what's the worst thing that Israel could do to us? Go a little further. So because you put 25%, that's a real threat. You put it bigger than Russia and Islam. So what are some things they could do to us?
So I'm not worried about Israel sending a bomb into New York. If that's what you're worried about, we're worried about different things. Israel could easily launch a false flag operation. The
fact that he thinks Israel would do a false flag operation, either to us, to other countries, just to instigate a war, is crazy. What it's telling me is that Israel doesn't have the best interest for America. Their number one interest is themselves. That's number one. They don't really care what happens to us.
Sends us into a war. They can have an Israeli who poses as a Palestinian, who goes in and causes some kind of crazy in Syria, and now all of a sudden the entire United States is engaged in Syria because of something that Israel set up as a false flag. And that is something that the Mossad does all the time. They do it very well, very eloquently. They already selectively share intelligence with the United States. And the reason you selectively share intelligence is to create the opportunity for misdirection or malintent. So
it's straight manipulation. Can you imagine your friend wants to know a situation and you choose to give him the information that you want to give him? That means his decision, his understanding of the situation will now be limited to what you've given him. It's straight manipulation. It's a terrible, toxic relationship between America and Israel.
Israel's already involved in these kinds of operations at a very high success rate. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about them backstabbing the United States. I'm concerned about them undermining our national interests. I'm concerned about them choosing, like they did with Iran, to escalate rhetoric about a certain issue that's more important to them than it is to us, that then goes on to affect us.
Okay, perfect. So then the infiltration of Islam, some say, to EU and what's happening to a lot of those countries, UK, Germany, you're seeing it all over the place. And to the point where Rupert Lowe did a paper, the 250.
The thing with PBD that I don't find genuine here, he just said this ex-CIA guy just said a really valid point. Why is he not talking about that point? Why is he jumping back to Islam? He's told him Islam is 5% of a threat. And PBD is trying to tell him that essentially what he's communicating, that it is a threat. So why isn't he giving his opinion on what he said about Israel?
He's kind of just ignoring the point that he made.
Right. Why is he neglecting it completely?
1,000, stories of girls being raped in UK, 87% being Pakistanis and Muslims. And then seeing what's going on in the U.S. right now with New York City, Mamdani wins, his 3 individuals that also won. So that's not going into the financial capital of the world in the States. Do you have any concern of them? They're infiltrating the United States in the future.
So here, this is another thing I think is very interesting, right? Islam is the only thing on this list that's not a nation state.
It is.
It's a religion.
That's right.
I'm not worried about a religion. I'm worried about people, and people identify sometimes as a religion. But it's interesting to me that we're actually weighing nation state threats against religious threats. So when we talk about Islamic people in New York, I don't see them as a threat just because of what.
So PBD just asked him, are you nervous about the infiltration of Islam, which comes down to Islamic people? So he's answering him correctly. He's responding to what he was asked. He's going to say,
Islamic people in New York, I don't see them as a threat just because of what they believe. That goes against American values. I see threats as nation states and transnational threats that self-identify, like Al-Qaeda, right? So I don't see Islam and Islamic people as a threat.
But if you notice, I put it as, consider it being IRGC, which is all the proxy.
Now he's jumping to the groups. PBD asked about an infiltration about Islam, which means people. The guy responded saying the people are not a threat. Your average Muslim on the street is not a threat to you. They're pretty much peaceful. There's no issues with them. Then when he gave a really eloquent response, PBD then says, how about the groups? Well, you're the one that started the conversation about the infiltration. Now you're jumping back to the groups?
And consider Qatar, which Qatar is funding a lot of different things in the States. If we were to qualify that way, would your opinion change?
Basically, there's hidden communication going on. PBD wants to get an answer out of him that is saying Islam is a threat in one way or another. So he keeps going back and restructuring his communication to this guy to basically say, hey, you got to give me something here. Okay? You're saying they're not a threat, but you got to give me something.
You have to say something that's against
Possibly. I think it would change in how the number breaks down based on what we qualify. But I say all that because Islam and Islamic extremism poses a larger threat to our allies than it does to us. We might be the ultimate target, but they've got multiple lily pads they have to hop through before they get to us.
Got it. So you're not worried about it right now.
So basically, PBD just said, you're not worried about it right now, but this is something to be worried about, is what he's trying to say. He's trying to summarize this guy's breakdown because it went against what he thinks, and he's trying to force the opinion that they are a threat. 5% is a very small threat. And the way he's communicating is trying to really reiterate that they are a threat. So it doesn't feel like he's being a middle guy here. He didn't press back on Israel. He didn't say anything about that. He didn't add any comments. He went straight to Islam.
Okay. Sarah, how about yourself?
So the way I look at it is we're talking about Islamists. There's two pieces of it, right? There's the Islamists with the gun, and then the political Islamists, and they're both a threat. So the Islamists with a gun, a bunch of them came over the border in the last 4 years. So according to the National Counterterrorism Center, 18,000 known Islamist terrorists are here legally. So that's just...
So there, you're telling me the U.S., with all its sophisticated military equipment, investigation systems, departments, knows there's terrorists here and they're not doing anything about it? They know that Bin Laden's sons are here and they're not doing a single thing about it? How does that make any sense? How does it make sense that there's these threats to America who are really good at stopping threats? We have some of the best security in the world. You're telling me there's that many threats here and they haven't been stopped?
Just the ones illegally. Why are you coming to the United States if you're a member of ISIS? You're not coming here to raise a family. You're coming here to harm the United States. On the other side, when we talk about the Muslim Brotherhood, they are working in local communities, not just in Europe, but in here, working at like the Chamber of Commerce level, working in business.
I'm trying to be objective, okay? When you come into this country as a foreigner, you're pitched the American dream. You're pitched the idea of naturalizing yourself, propping yourself up, developing. So it's a problem when the foreigners aren't working and not naturalizing themselves and living off of food assistance. And it's also a problem when they do work on themselves, they do advance, they do naturalize, and they do move up to positions in government, positions in companies. So either way, it's a problem. How is it fair then?
Business associations, and they are doing influence operations. We all know they've been doing it in our universities for years, like China, and they do have an intent to merge the two, right? There'll be attacks, and there are hopes to get kind of more of a leaning towards where people will be more understanding of a caliphate.
Okay. Whatever level of CIA agent she wasn't actually at the meetings. I think she was doing the coffee runs, to be honest. Because, like, her understanding, just the logic of it doesn't make sense. Okay? What do you mean infiltrating? It's not infiltration for a foreigner to come here, get an education, learn the English language, work as hard as they can, get to a position of government, get to a position of mayor, get to a CEO of a company. That's not an infiltration. That's a foreigner living out the American dream. There is nobody in the government that's of Muslim faith that's forcing people to wear the hijab. Sure, they may have sections in the grocery aisle saying halal meat, just like they have sections for kosher, just like they have the ethnic aisle for Mexican and Spanish food. America is everything. It's not one identity, it's multiple identities.
Now, when anyone looks at the caliphate plan, U.S. being taken over so far ahead of it, even the terrorists say that's like 50 years out. But when they talk about bringing back a caliphate, a lot of people view that as, oh, that's like eons ago. But the Ottoman Empire ended in our grandparents' generation, right? So the terrorists aren't believing in some idea that was thousands of years ago. They were believing something from like the 1940s. So, and
I will be fair to her. Muslims do believe in the caliphate. They do believe the idea of a righteous leader rising up and kind of taking control of the Muslim population. That is true. However, this is where the propaganda breaks. The caliphate that Muslims are waiting for is Jesus Christ, son of Mary. That's the caliphate we're waiting for. It's in the Quran itself. We're waiting for the Messiah. We're waiting for Jesus. We're waiting for Imam Mahdi to come back and take control of the situation. So every time you mention caliphate, just understand that our religion is waiting for Jesus.
And they're seeing it come back into play and the power of it. I mean, the Taliban is getting recognized. I mean, Al-Qaeda's running Syria.
And it's so funny when she mentions these groups. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all these groups, if you look into the history of them, they're funded by who? Who are they created by? Why was Osama bin Laden an FBI agent? Why was he in America? Why were these groups created by the West? Why do these groups attack everyone supposedly except one country?
Etc. Qatar's always at the table. So they're seeing we're making this power move, and it really is bringing them back around, and they're getting into a phase where they feel they have momentum, and that's what makes them dangerous, because they feel strong and they think we're weak. A lot of people say, oh, Iran feels like they're up against the ropes now. They don't feel that way at all. They feel they're going to walk away with a victory.
Iran did walk away with a victory. Nothing the U.S. did has been successful in the Iran campaign besides hurting American citizens with their funds, with taxes, with all this other BS? The other thing too, as a logical man, okay, as a logical person here, she's talking about hypotheticals. She's talking about obscure statistics. She's talking about make believe. Yes, she's basing some of the things like the caliphate and all these things in history. Fine. But the other guy's talking about legitimate threats in the present moment. The threat that Israel can pull us into a war. The threat of false flags. The live threat of us being pulled into Iran that happened, a couple months ago? So he's assessing what's actually going on. She's assessing fairy tale land, nothing that's actually real.
It doesn't matter if we killed 200 people or 250 people or bombed. They think at the end of the deal, they're going to sell it as a victory, and all these Islamists are...
Every single country sells it as a victory. Every country in war will never admit that they're losing side, in most cases. You think if you got into a war with Russia and then Russia lost, do you think it's going to tell its people it lost? Do you think China is going to tell its people it lost? Do you think America would tell its people it lost? It had gotten nothing out of Iran. And Trump's here saying, we own the Strait of Hormuz. We're in control of it.
Why is it open?
And like, bro, I don't know. I'm going to really try. Okay, I'm going to really try to side with her.
Preparing for that. So it is a game that they play in the way they view the world. It's not the way we view the world, but...
It's a game that's being played by every side.
They think they're winning, and that's a threat.
Let me ask you, did a part of your career as a CIA targeter working in Iran, because you said part of it was you were dealing with Iran, right? Did that kind of influence your decision to score that high?
Well, not exactly. So I did work the external operations, so 400 and 900. Now I work Unit 840 in my free time. My decision's based on the fact that bin Laden's sons have a plan kind of bigger than 9/11, and I saw the costs imposed on us.
The bin Laden son thing is definitely going to be a false flag if it's true, bro. That's crazy. I don't know. Let's see if the other guy responds.
By 9/11, and that was only by a small number of guys, and this attack's a lot bigger, and so I know what Al-Qaeda is going to drag us into, and that's what makes me concerned. Even when we went into Iraq.
Is it Al-Qaeda dragging us into it, or is it...
Al-Qaeda is going to drag us into something. That's what she's saying. Guys, let's do game theory here. Who would get the most advantageous results? Having a group like Al-Qaeda, having a group like ISIS, having these groups commit a false flag. After that false flag is committed, America will be riled up, and they'll attack those countries. While those countries get attacked, and they will lose those countries because America is very powerful. They haven't done it with Iran, but a lot of those countries in the Middle East stand no chance against America. After that is toppled, game theory, who is in the most advantageous position? Is it America that just depleted its funds, its soldiers, its tax dollars, all the money? Or is it Israel sitting there on the side, be like, thank you for helping me out. Thank you. You took out an opponent of ours. I didn't have to do a thing.
Iraq, then Al-Qaeda came in and flooded, and that's what kept it going, right? They kept it going.
All right, I'm going to end here. Don't ever mention Iraq. I don't want to hear anybody mentioning Iraq. They said weapons of mass destruction. They went in and killed a bunch of Iraqis. They found no weapons.
Insane.
All right, I don't want to hear it. Like, it's just not fair. Just be objective here. Just try to actually be fair. The guy on the right, he said, Islam is not a threat to us. They could be a threat to other places nearby to them in the Middle East. Perhaps some theologies and understandings of Islam, maybe the more extreme kind, can be a threat to other Muslims in that region. But they're very far from being a threat to us.